Thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam.
Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Greetings to all of us. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Good morning, everyone. It gives us a great and immense pleasure to welcome you into this international webinar. And let me introduce myself once again. My name is Nabila Haza, and it is a wonderful and also a precious experience for me to be your moderator today in this international webinar on Monday, 18th October 2021. So it is our privilege to have you all with us today. First of all, I would like to welcome all the honorable speakers in this event, the Honorable Associate Prof. Teguh Syahreza as founder and CEO of the ASEAN Lecturer Committee, also as the initiator of the event as well, and the Honorable Datuk Mansur bin Usman from Parliament Malaysia, and the Honorable Prof. Dr. Lia Amalia SPM from SMU University Jakarta, Indonesia. And last but not least, the Honorable Asop Prof. Rozia Abu from University of Technology UITM, Malaysia. And then all the honorable lecturers and all the participants. Thank you very much for joining us today. Very nice meeting you all. Ladies and gentlemen, before we start, I think it's best if we are starting the event by praying first. So this event will be that we will hold today will be running smoothly and without any obstacle at all. So pray according to our individual beliefs and needs.
Amin.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the committee, we are welcome all of you into this international lecture series study based on academic and best practice in our theme today, community development and human capital challenges. We are now ready to begin this international lecture series. But first of all, allow me to introduce you to the agenda. We will start by the opening session, and then after that there will be an opening remark delivered by Associate Prof. Teguh Syahreza as our initiator of the event, and then the agenda will be continued by session 1 discussion. Session 1 discussion, we will hear from Datuk Mansur bin Usman from Parliament Malaysia, and then in the second session, we will have Prof. Dr. Lia Amalia SANM from SMU University Jakarta, Indonesia, and in the Session 3, we will hear from Prof. Dr. Rozia Abu from University of Technology Mara, UITM, Malaysia. And we'd like to remind that all questions and answer session will be held until every discussion session ended. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think without much further ado, we are very pleased to have Associate Prof. Teguh Syahreza as founder and CEO of the ASEAN Lecturer Committee to deliver us the welcome speech. It's great and sir.
Okay, thank you very much Nabila. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi. Ya, salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. I will to welcoming speak only 3 minutes in the 3 point. Usually every event I talk only 3 minutes first. The first, thank you very much, Prof. Lia, Prof. Rodia, Datuk Mansur. It's very interesting you coming because I know you are very busy and many program every day. But for the sharing of knowledge, silaturahmi, and kongsi ilmu, Prof. Lia is the first time I know her in this Zoom. You know, it's very interesting. Prof. Lia do not know about me, and so am I. But her rector is Dr. Arif is my friend long time ago. Therefore, Ibu Endah informed me that you must be to invite Prof. Lia, because Prof. Lia is someone the interesting lecturer in Esa Unggul. Selamat Prof. Lia, you are is the someone the best lecturer in Esa Unggul. Therefore, I am very appreciate because you are do not know me before, but you are very smart respond for this event because your PowerPoint is very interesting too. Therefore, once more, thank you, Prof. Lia. Thank you, Prof. Rosia. The second, I mean, the second time is this event, and Datuk Mansur. Before that, I have invite him, but the another event with Chinese communities, not ASEAN lecturer communities. They were the first in ASEAN lecturer. Therefore, once more, terima kasih. Thank you very much. Arigato for you all. It's very interesting for you coming. Yang kedua, izinkan saya bercakap bahasa Malay sikit karena saya sudah biasa dijemput makan nasi lemak dan kopi O oleh Datuk Mansur. Jadi kalau saya tak cakap Malay macam tak tampak dah bisa ke belum ni orang. Okay, the second, saya ingin menginformasikan pada speaker that this event, the presence of ASEAN lecturer community, you can to share with English, with Malay or Indonesian to language. I mean, don't use Chinese ya, Datuk Mansur. Nanti yang faham saya sahaja. Profesor Lia dan Profesor Lia tak faham pula nanti. You can to use Indonesian, Malay and Indonesian language. And then for your information, every session, saya kira Prof. Rozia dah tahu, every session there is one song or video for refreshing, Datuk Mansur. Because Prof. Lia, this is not conference. Therefore, do not very strict of protocol. We will to share with the relax and happy, like as in our class to sharing in the our student, right? Therefore, kata orang Medan, jangan tegang-tegang sangat lah, bro. Macam itulah. Dia kata kita nak berkongsi ilmu, sharing knowledge. If the conference you must be the Indonesian flag, negaraku apa segala, masanya kita pun terlalu singkat 2 jam sahaja, lebih kurang 2,5 jam. Okay, the last, terakhir sekali, karena 3 minit saja, saya tutup dengan pantun. Okey, dah tahulah nanti pantun balasan dari Datuk Mansur pakai bahasa Aceh ke bahasa Melayu ke tak tahulah. Okey, manusia hidup di 5 benua. Okey, hidup yang paling nyaman tentu bersama mama. Ya, salam hormat untuk anda semua. Terima kasih sudah hadir bersama. Thank you very much. Nah, kembali ke studio 1 Nabila Hazza.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Do you need any help?
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Suaranya sangat jelas di sini. Sila.
Jelas ah?
Jelas sekali.
Alhamdulillah. Pertama sekali penghormatan saya kepada kanda saya, Prof. Tengku Syarul Riza, yang studi mengundang ataupun menjemput saya dalam webinar pada hari ini yang dihadiri oleh tokoh-tokoh besar, tokoh-tokoh universiti, Profesor Dr. Dia Amelia di Jakarta, ya, dan juga Profesor Rozia Abu di UTM Malaysia. Dan alhamdulillah ramai yang ikut bersama pada hari ini, walaupun tak tersebut satu demi satu, mungkin memandangkan masa, dan yang namun semua salam sejahtera, salam bahagia, salam perpaduan untuk kita semua. Dan sebagaimana Prof sebut tadi, ASEAN merupakan satu kekuatan, boleh dikatakan yang paling kuat adalah dunia Melayu, dunia Islam dalam ASEAN. Jadi di sini pertemuan pada pagi hari ini, saya sangat teruja, mungkin julung-julung kali Prof membenarkan saya, walaupun kondisi saya sebagai anak perantau, sebagaimana saya sebut daripada awal tadi, al-maklum. Saya dari sudut akademik pendidikan sebatas SMA di Aceh, dan selepas itu saya merantau ke Malaysia. Di sini perlu saya nak terangkan sedikit tentang sejarah komunitas Aceh di Malaysia. Kan begitu,
Yap,
Prof?
betul sekali.
Oke.
Karena Prof
Jadi
Razia
alhamdulillah,
perlukan itu. Iya, sila.
Jadi alhamdulillah sebenarnya sejarah komunitas Aceh di Malaysia pada kedatangan saya tahun 85, dan ketika itu pada tahun 1986 pertama sekali Datuk Sanusi Juned, almarhum yang hari ini Tan Sri Sanusi Juned, memanggil keseluruhan warga perantau, khususnya warga Aceh yang ada di beberapa negeri yang berhampiran dengan Kuala Lumpur, Selangor, Seremban, dan Melaka dan Pahang. Alhamdulillah, satu jamuan yang telah diupayakan oleh Datuk Sri ataupun Tan Sri hari ini, almarhum, sebagai langkah awal untuk membina satu kekuatan di kalangan warga Aceh perantau. Saya terlibat sama, saya ikut sama dalam pertemuan tersebut. Dalam ucapan beliau, dia sangat mengharap pertama sekali warga Aceh perantau yang telah ramai berada di Malaysia, banyak pesan yang telah disampaikan kepada kami, menjaga hubungan baik, silaturahim sesama masyarakat, dan membina ukhuwah perpaduan bersama masyarakat setempat yang ada di sini. Ini menjadi titik ukur pada kami, sehinggalah komunitas Melayu Aceh terbina dengan satu kekuatan yang hari ini menurut saya kebanyakan pedagang-pedagang Aceh yang ada di Malaysia sangat kompak. Malah mungkin di kalangan warga setempat di sini mereka sering berdepan dengan masyarakat Aceh dari hubungan jiran yang pertama sekali, yang kedua dari sudut mereka berbelanja di kedai-kedai Aceh. Mungkin Prof sendiri, Prof Rozia, melihat kondisi kedai Aceh di Malaysia. Jadi saya kalau sebut itu iba, jadi nggak susah mau keluar, karena begitulah tahap kepercayaan warga setempat, warga tempatan, warga Malaysia memberi sokongan dan dukungan kepada masyarakat Aceh upaya membina usaha. Pertama sekali, sejarah kita Aceh dengan Malaysia selain daripada serumpun, punya hubungan internal yang sangat rapat di kalangan sesama Islam. Disitulah bila kita melihat keberadaan orang Aceh yang saban masa, dan alhamdulillah secara pribadi saya sangat terutang budi kepada kerajaan Malaysia, kepada warga setempat di sini yang telah banyak membantu Aceh, khususnya pasca tsunami. Ini menjadi satu tanggung jawab moral kepada kami bangsa Aceh yang ada di perantauan. Hari ini saya telah menjadi warga setempat, telah menjadi warga negara Malaysia, Prof. Minta izin.
Dan happy
Saya
birthday
sudah
to you last week. Selamat ulang tahun.
Yang ke-58, Prof.
Saya pikir kemarin 38.
So, alhamdulillah apa yang 58 bukan 38. Ya. Itu silap angka.
Enggak, 58 betul. Sama dengan saya.
Ya, cuma apa nih beda tanggal lahirnya saja ya, Prof. Dengan bulannya barangkali ya. Oke.
Right.
Jadi alhamdulillah komunitas Aceh di Malaysia memang sangat diterimalah oleh masyarakat setempat di sini, sangat terhutang budi atas bantuan kerajaan terhadap bangsa Aceh di Malaysia maupun bangsa Aceh yang ada di Aceh. Dan perpaduan yang kita bina di kalangan masyarakat Aceh sangat kompak, sebagaimana saya sebut tadi. Dan alhamdulillah, masyarakat Aceh tidak duduk diam, Prof, di Malaysia. Karena kita sangat-sangat terhutang budi. Makanya di sini saya selaku yang terpilih lah di kalangan warga Aceh yang dituakan. Sebenarnya yang tua lebih ramai lagi yang tua. Yang ada yang 70, ada yang 80. Mungkin barangkali saya sebab terlibat dengan NGO, dengan Mercy Malaysia. Banyak NGO Malaysia yang membawa saya ketika itu dalam misi bantuan tsunami di Aceh dan juga misi bantuan dalam gempa bumi di Jogja, Prof. Dr. Lia. Saya terlibat dalam menghantar bantuan bersama kerajaan Malaysia ke Jogja. Kalau ke Aceh itu dah pasti sebab saya orang Aceh. Tapi alhamdulillah saya dilibatkan sama mewakili orang Indonesia yang ada di Malaysia. Dan di sini kita masyarakat Aceh selalunya lah terkesan dengan kegiatan-kegiatan sosial yang seumpama Maulid Rasul yang telah dilakukan oleh masyarakat Aceh, sama lazimnya yang dilakukan oleh masyarakat Aceh yang ada di Aceh. Daripada awal kelahiran Nabi sehingga sampai 100 hari, itu waktu dia yang diambil kira, bermakna Rabiul Awal sampailah ke 3 bulan yang terakhir. Ini telah menjadi tradisi kepada orang Aceh disebabkan amanat daripada indatu kami ataupun guru kami, walau kami ke kemanapun, sama ada di Malaysia, di Singapura, di mana-mana di dunia orang Aceh untuk memperingati Maulid Rasul. Kebetulan hari ini saya sentuh. Kenapa saya sentuh Maulid Rasul? Kebetulan kita duduk dalam bulan ataupun dalam suasana menyambut Maulid Rasul. Alhamdulillah, selain daripada Maulid Rasul yang saban tahun kita gerakkan dan juga masyarakat Aceh pada tahun 2002 atas ilham Datuk Seri Sanusi yang berpesan kepada saya bahwasanya kegiatan-kegiatan sosial yang telah banyak dilakukan untuk mendekatkan kekompakan di kalangan warga masyarakat Aceh dan warga setempat, dia mengusulkan kepada saya untuk membuat sebuah komunitas yang disebut Komunitas Melayu Aceh Malaysia, KMEM. Hari ini kalau kita melihat KMEM ini sangat berperan daripada 2002 hinggalah kepada 2020. Dan pada tahun 2017 saya telah diberi kepercayaan oleh kerajaan Malaysia penawaran untuk mendapatkan warga negara Malaysia, dan alhamdulillah saya menyambut baik. Dan saya pun berterima kasih atas tawaran yang telah diberikan oleh kerajaan Malaysia sebagai ketua solidaritas paguyuban Aceh yang ada di Malaysia. Dan alhamdulillah dari semasa ke semasa pada tahun 2020 memandangkan saya sudah menjadi warga negara Malaysia, saya beranikan dirilah untuk membuat sebagaimana satu pertubuhan yang sah di pihak pemerintah, di pihak kerajaan, yaitu Permebam, Persatuan Melayu Berketurunan Aceh, yang pengurusinya adalah saya. Dan alhamdulillah Permebam kami telah mendapat tempat di beberapa NGO seumpama dengan EPM, Angkatan Pertahanan Awam, ataupun MINDEF, pihak Kementerian Pertahanan, disebabkan kami masyarakat Aceh apabila musim berlaku bencana alam di Malaysia, khususnya di Pantai Timur, Kelantan, Terengganu, Pahang, Perak, selalu masyarakat Aceh tidak duduk diam, dan alhamdulillah kita menjadi jentera ataupun menjadi sukarelawan paguyuban yang pertama yang tampil membuat misi bantuan ke setiap negeri yang berlaku. Jadi saya di sini sedikit saya imbaukan pada tahun 2007 kami juga membantu korban banjir di Johor Bahru senilai 85.000, dan pada tahun 2008 korban banjir Pahang senilai 100.000, diikuti dengan 2011 musibah banjir Pahang Kedah sebanyak 180.000, dan 2013 banjir Pahang Terengganu senilai 113.000. Pada 2015 juga kami mengantar bantuan ke Kelantan Terengganu yang kami buat penyerahan di Masjid Putrajaya kepada ketika itu adalah Timbalan Perdana Menteri Tan Sri Allah. Tapi yang namun alhamdulillah selepas 2015 sehinggalah NGO kami Komunitas Melayu Aceh, kami telah resmi ditukar kepada Permebam, Persatuan Melayu Berketurunan Aceh. Dan alhamdulillah pada masa yang sama kami juga telah membantu misi antarbangsa, khususnya bantuan Palestin yang kami bekerjasama dengan Bandar Amal di Malaysia, dan juga membantu setiap tabung-tabung kemanusiaan seumpama dengan Rohingya ataupun Syria yang selalu tampil di kalangan masyarakat Aceh. Dan alhamdulillah pada tahun 2015 tertinggal tadi masyarakat Aceh khususnya di Kampung Baru telah sama-sama diberi kepercayaan oleh pihak Masjid Kampung Baru untuk mengikuti pembangunan Masjid Kampung Baru sebanyak 110.000. Ini sebenarnya bukan nilai yang saya nak sebut, tapi waima dia pendekatan di kalangan masyarakat Aceh bersama dengan masjid ataupun bersama dengan negara sangat intim. Itu yang menjadi tanggung jawab kepada kami, alhamdulillah. Dan baru-baru ini juga terkesan dengan pada hujung 2020 banjir Terengganu, Kelantan, dan juga kita alhamdulillah mengantar langsung dengan EPM Angkatan Pertahanan Awam sebanyak 350.000, dan disusuli dengan banjir Yan Kedah pada bulan 8 2021 juga kita akan turun sendiri mengantar bantuan senilai 250.000. Sebenarnya masyarakat Aceh sangat dikenali prihatin ataupun sangat dikenali bermurah hati, karena yang pertama sekali pedagang-pedagang Aceh ini sangat teruja dengan apa yang berlaku kami di Aceh. Makanya mereka apabila dapat tempat di sini boleh membuat usaha dan suka membantu satu sama lain. Inilah menjadi harapan kami ke depan supaya masyarakat kami senantiasa prihatin membantu sesama, supaya masyarakat kita lebih disenangi, lebih santun, dan lebih dipercaya oleh masyarakat setempat. Jadi itu sementara, nanti mungkin sejarah tokoh-tokoh yang ternama di Malaysia akan dari sesi yang kedua saya akan sampaikan, Prof.
Terima kasih Dato' Mansur, very interesting and effective time. And I mean today kita untuk berkenalan dengan Prof. Zia supaya nanti risetnya boleh dicakapkan di Cokit lebih mendalam lagi selepas yang satu ini. Okay, Nabila, you can to continue this even from the song of tu lagu ulang tahun tu Dato' Mansur ya. Untung jumpa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now we are ready to move our webinar to second two sharing discussion, and we will hear from our speakers today, Professor Dr. Lia Amalia, STMM, as a lecturer from Unggul University Jakarta. Good morning, Prof.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah,
Morning.
Prof.
Very nice meeting you.
Yes.
If you need help to share your screen or presentation, maybe?
Yeah.
Prof, you want to share by yourself or our staff will help you?
Share with your staff aja deh.
Oke, baik deh. Kang Indah, please help the Prof Lia to share screen for the explain by Prof Lia alone. Silakan Prof Lia. Now your screen is your PowerPoint in screen now is very clear, Prof.
Yes, yes, of course. Thank you for invitation. And this presentation,
Right.
sebetulnya ini bahan materi saya mengajar untuk master degree.
Wow.
Universitas Esa Unggul, ya.
Right. Keren.
Ya, karena saya introduce myself lagi ya. Saya itu S1 or undergraduate itu come from
Jajaran University.
Yes, and then my concentration is economic and study. Yeah, economy and development studies. And this my master degree is human resource management.
Right.
Then my PhD from University of Jakarta, and the concentration is education.
All right.
Yes.
Rawamangun.
Rawamangun. And then in 2008, my professor economics come from economic development and cooperative management.
Right.
Now, I have too many topics for subject in our university for S1. I have a subject macro, micro, and human resource, economic cooperative, management, and then for S2 or master degree as human resource management. Jadi di sini saya materinya sebetulnya ini mengenai topik khusus teorinya mengenai community development and human capital sesuai match dengan permintaan dari saya. Nah, next please.
Silakan.
Nah, Esa Unggul must be template the PowerPoint like this, and then also to vision and mission of the university to share to our student. The vision become a world-class university based on intellect, creative, and entrepreneurship, which excels in the quality of management and the result of the implementation of the three dharma. Pak Prof Tengku, maybe now the three dharma is education, research, and community service. Community service is vision. The mission organizing high quality and relevant higher education, creating conducive academic atmosphere, providing excellent service all stakeholders. Next, please. And then the material we will divide at before midterm and after midterm. The tatap muka or online now because era pandemic, 14 online. Actually, not setiap minggu. For master degree, maybe pertemuan 1, 4, 7, and after mid test. Jadi semesternya itu tidak selalu kita tiap minggu ya, karena ada assignment, ada quiz gitu ya, ada forum, discuss yang seperti itulah yang menjadi homework buat mereka kan. Kemudian after mid test kita melakukan next the material yang berikutnya ya. Ini ada 14 pertemuan ya untuk human resource. My concentration is human resource. And then today I will and all the student to assessment or evaluation the attendance in 10%, assignment 20%, and then final test 30%, quiz 20%, totally 100%. That's the evaluation for the student. For nilai akhirnya dibagi dalam sekian evaluasi ya. Nah, berikutnya ini hanya materi kuliah saja ya, Prof.
Nah, oke. Ya, never mind.
Ya, this is human resources. Apa sih yang disebut dengan human capital trends? Itu di dalam, tadi kan ada modul-modul. Jadi modul ini membahas, kita ambil juga dari sumber yang tadi saya sebutkan, yaitu dari Lumen, ya kan kita harus sebutkan juga dari mana sources-nya gitu ya. Dan ini tidak menjelaskan bahwa explain the concept of people analytics, identify the use of people analytics in strategic, discuss human capital trends, and then what the definition. Next, please. People analytics, to explain what about the people analytics, the definition. Karena di dalam kita perlu menganalisis ya daripada masyarakat. Are the insights derived from an organization's employee data? Jadi ada datanya, kemudian people analytics seeks to integrate data to improve decisions that have historically been made based on people's experience and institution. The first instance of a group focus and HR specific analytics is believed to be HR decision support team formed by Merck in 2001. Sorry, Pak Prof, how many, the durasi, how many?
25 minutes, Prof.
Oh, yeah. I think not all. To skip.
To next slide,
Yeah.
Kang Indah, to next slide.
Yeah. It's not enough, yeah, the time, yeah.
Yeah, never mind, because we will do question answer after that you can to translate more.
Ya. Jadi di sini juga mengadopsi berbagai tren ya. Next please. Please next. Because the time is not enough. Di implikasi, nah ini praktisnya seperti apa? Dihitung people analytics ini dengan melalui statistik, institusi, polling maupun data. This is the question 1. And then next. Bagaimana strategic and people analytics di sini to identify key people analytics strategic impacts, highlight key people analytics metrics, discuss challenge to implementing people analytics, identify people or analytics best practice. Jadi itu strategi daripada people analytics. Next. Jadi impact di people analytics on strategy. Answer question about, jadi ada yang bentuknya seperti essay ya, ada juga nanti yang berbentuknya supaya si analytics daripada strategi people analytics ini bisa menjawab how to identify, to predict successful leaders, how to make informed decisions about human capital, what the supply to talent within the marketplace, the impact of work done, the strength of culture. Based on the analytic, Nelson created a ready-to-rotate group to help employees interested in an internal transfer in order and combat high turnover rates with a positive business result and increase credibility for the people analytics team. Next, please. The metrics, key metrics and accountability are critical to performance, with the value of the provided data being its basis for analysis. Data has meaning only if it can provide actionable insight into human behavior, culture, or operational effectiveness. Next, please. Now, this example from people analytics expert Rick van Vulpen. The first one, a lot of people are ill this month. Data indicates absence level at 12%, evaluating data against company average shows significance. How does our company comparatively act on findings to reduce risks? The sources come from www.analyticanhr.com blog, HR metrics and analytics, how both can add value. That's the example. I think finish the people analytics, and we can look the next community development, please.
Yeah.
Change this slide. This
Next
is
slide.
The challenge, HR mindset, managing expectation, not big data, big question, the right tools. Next, please. The part 2, directly. No confidence. Show me the money. HR structural issues. Next, please. Best practice. To focus on business relevance, generate actionable insights, involve legal and compliance. It is a process. Success requires balance. Please let the next slide. This is the practice for homework. The student which the following the focus of the models of people analytics adoption in level. You must be answer the question, and for assignment for the next Tatap Maya. Okay, and then how come the community development, please? Change to community development. Please skip this.
Next slide. Okay.
Yes. Human capital trends. HR must adapt in the context of the future of enterprise, workforce, and how work gets done. HR will have to execute shift across the dimension of mindset, focus, lens, and enables. The mindset, focus, lens, and enables. Next. cross activity divide into, this is the simulation, yeah, for the human capital challenge. And then please, using the best practice, discuss your text, discuss following areas, identify, are there times analytics people would not be useful? What are the clinic ethical consideration at implementing people analytics into the HR department? Next, please. Please. Next. Present, this is the review of the material. And the next, community development. Please, a new slide. Please, the next one, the introduction. What is the community? The dimension is place, population, political system, social organization, cultural system, economic system. Community must be defined so stakeholders can be identified and appropriately involve the various stage of the community development process. Jadi proses komunitas, pengembangan community ini tergantung kepada tempat, populasinya, sistem politik, organisasial, cultural system, and economic, situasi ekonomi atau peran dari sistem ekonomi yang berlaku di suatu negara. And then next, what is the community development? By process to structural change in community, including use of resources and the function of institutions, increase capacity of people outcome, more community assets such as jobs, income, buildings, and city parks, more resources being used by people. Next. What community development? A comprehensive process to manage change that involves different share vision for the future. Citizen participation, purpose, and function distinguish community development from other types of intervention, unless people buy into self-help and the decision-making process is open to all. And then, what obligation of artworks? Next, please. Please.
Next, please, Kang Indah.
Why practice community development? Kenapa perlu adanya frameworknya? Kita tahu bahwa di dalam manajemen itu kan input, process, and output. The practice is process, is depend on assumptions, values, and principles. Next, please. Terus lanjut. Jadi asumsinya people can concentrate of, kenapa nih ya? Nggak fokus nih.
Itu boleh dari screen. Okay, you can use for the next slide. Bro.
Ya.
Next slide.
Juga masih nggak fokus.
Boleh kalau if you use the computing or because this is the last of the slide. Okay.
Lah.
You want to use that, please?
I try to use my slide, ya.
Yeah, it's like computers.
Jadi pakai saya punya.
Yeah,
Coba
yeah.
saya lihat.
Okay, now we'll in the screen is just now, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I mean what the number of slide is after that. Okay. Sudah di slide ke 15 atau berapa tadi?
Ya. Ini udah
Ya.
ada belum di situ?
Ah, itu dari sini boleh, Prof.
Udah ada belum?
Belum tadi. Sila, Prof.
Udah kelihatan belum, Prof?
Sudah, sangat clear, Prof. Silakan.
Ya.
Sangat jelas.
And the aspect of development.
Ada 8 menit lagi boleh, Prof. Silakan.
Oh, yeah. It's okay. The social network analysis and mapping, you see the graphs. By each dot can represent an individual and that person's relationship to other individuals. It can also represent relationship between organization or map community assets. Building social capital. Is there trust in the community? Is there a shared vision for the community with priorities identified? Is there spirit cooperation with problems and it's discussed openly? Are people willing to accept leadership roles? Does a well-developed communication system keep citizens informed? Does the community have a history of working together? What organization or groups have strong ties to community? Does a sense of reciprocity exists in the community? Are social norms and values recognized with social services that facilitate these values? Do individual members of the community at large in neighborhoods know one another? Are the festival parades or other public events that bring people together? What is the level of volunteerism? Are neighborhood organization and citizen coalition active? Do people generally feel their participation in civic affairs can make difference? Aspect of development. Leadership development, community development, and economic development. Holistic approach developments, communities must maintain a balance and comprehensive strategy for development. Leadership development creates skilled citizens with the desire to implement a community development process that prepares a community to take advantage of economic opportunity.
Yeah.
Essence of community development. I think healthy community is one where people are not just out for themselves and they are not just working on their individual pursuits, but where they understand their relationship and responsibility to people. Finish the matter.
Wow.
And then maybe next lecture we can to problem solving, to be continue the case of Indonesia. I'm so sorry, my English not well.
Never mind, because we are the ASEAN community, campur English, Malay, Indonesian, never mind. Right?
Okay, thank you for watching.
Yes, you are welcome. Very interesting, Prof. Okay, Nabila, you can continue to the last or the third speakers before question answer event.
All right, can believe we are now have come to the third session of sharing our sharing session. Now we are very pleased and honored to invite as a Prof. Dr. Rosie Abu as a lecturer from University Technology Mara UIT in Malaysia to have the screen and share with us her material today.
Okay.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi
Very good morning.
wabarakatuh.
Selamat siang ya, benar. Betul.
Ini masih pagi lagi, belum jam 12
belum
lagi.
siang lagi.
Okay.
Ini kali kedua saya menyertai siri lecture ini dan untuk kali keduanya saya terpegun kerana saya baru sedar there's a variety of languages around Indonesia. You know, I think kalau buat PhD thesis on only the language, you know, the existence of language, bahasa-bahasa yang wujud di Indonesia itu, dia boleh dikompilkan menjadi satu tesis yang mencapai 400 muka surat.
Yeah, right.
That could be a bibliography of language, you know. That should be something to be done by a lot of Indonesian students. I think this is something that you can think about, you know, for Indonesian students. You know, the language itself can become a profile, you know, one profile, and you can actually transform it into a thesis, which is very interesting. I personally, honestly speaking, saya tidak berani untuk bertutur dalam bahasa Indonesia kerana I'm afraid I won't do the language justice. Saya akan merosakkan lagi bahasa yang cantik itu. So might as well I just stick to my language yang I tahu. But it is an honor, thanks to Prof. Sharul. It's an honor because I've been given a chance to experience more than just one connotation of language. In fact, I experienced a variety of connotation and terminologies dalam bahasa Indonesia Melayu di gurusan Melayu ini. So terima kasih kepada Prof. Sharul kerana memberi saya peluang kali kedua kali ini. So for today, actually, I'm going to go straight into my topic. My topic is basically on community and library and resource center. So I'm a bit introduction to Datuk Mansur, Datuk Mansur and Prof. Liang. I'm currently an associate professor in my faculty of information management. And in our faculty, our expertise covers not just on library management and sciences, but we also focuses on record and archive, information science, information system, and also content management. So my faculty has been with UITM since the beginning, and my university, UITM itself sudah di-establish pada tahun 1957, tetapi bukan universiti lah pada waktu itu, kami dikenali sebagai Maktab Rida, tetapi diteruskan hingga ke tahun sekarang ini. Dan we have more than 154 active campuses around us. 154 program actively engaging with our student currently. And our alumni is one of the largest. We have about 956,956 graduan per scroll sekarang inilah. Jadi jumlah alumni kami adalah antara yang terbesar di Malaysia. Dan our program focuses on diploma and degree, but at the same time we do have our own postgraduate programs like masters and PhDs. We have many international students engaged with us with our postgraduate programs. So at the moment, I'm currently doing two things at one time. I'm heading the unit of data for the university system, and at the same time, I'm also teaching in my faculty. And my passion when it comes to teaching is more on focusing how information center or library can help to boost community development. So this is something that I'm going to share today. And thank you very much, Prof. Shahrul, for inviting me to have this opportunity to get to know Datuk Mansor. Because before I landed in the main campus here in Selangor, in Shah Alam, I actually spent 17 years in Kedah, in the branch campus of UiTM in Merbuk, Kedah. And I'm quite familiar with the community of Aceh in Kampung Yan. And I know they are so active, not just in entrepreneurship, keusahawanan saja, tetapi mereka memang aktif dalam pelbagai bidang, termasuk ekonomi dan sosial. I'm very, very close with the public library, Perpustakaan Desa dan Perpustakaan Negeri Kedah, and Perpustakaan Desa Yan. You know, Yan, where is the community Aceh is located in a big number there. Very, very active and supportive. And the rural library engaged with a lot of this Aceh community children, adults and women. And they engage a lot of activity, especially to support single women, you know, single mom, single parents who brought up and their children on their own, and of course to support their small business entrepreneurship development. So that's where and another thing that people might forget is that how strong community Aceh is in Kedah, that in 1996 Menteri Besar Kedah is actually in Aceh. Yeah. And then we have the bekas Ketua Polis Negara pun daripada di kalangan keluarga Aceh, you know. So it's a big community, and Aceh itself support the community development of the whole Malaysia as one network. So today, in relation to that, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna share with everyone a few understanding of what is social, library, resource center, and sustainable development goals, SDG, in relation to our local Malaysia, all right, which include, of course, Aceh community development. Right. So just a quick one, just an introduction to what is SDG. I guess my slide is clear. Is it, Nabila? Is it okay?
Clear, very clear.
Very clear. All right. So I just wish to put it this way so that I can see Datuk Mansur's face, Prof. Shahrul, Prof. Leah face, so that I can see everybody's face in the screen. So I'm just going to leave it this way. I'm not going to present it. All right. Okay. So just a little bit of understanding of what is SDG. SDG is a sustainable development goal introduced by our United Nations. All right. So United Nations General Assembly in 2015 introduced 17 aspect of sustainable development goal. So these 17 interlinked global goals designed to become a blueprint to help community around the world to focus on strategies and smart partnership in sustaining future community all around the world. So this was the aim. It was introduced by our United Nations General Assembly in 2015. And the aim is to reach this sustainability by the year 2030. And Malaysia ourselves, we do not, we in line with the SDG goals by introducing a lot of sustainability efforts and strategy focusing on community development. So today, I'm going to highlight to you how rural library and what are the challenges that rural library, a small disadvantaged rural or information center to community development. Now, rural library is one of the most important institution in any small community. It doesn't matter whether we are talking about disadvantaged community or rural community. Now, information center or rural library are the community information provider. It provides information and distributes services based on knowledge and variety of public groups, which include social, political, economic, culture, and other topics that relates to community sustained factors of development. And most importantly, rural library plays a critical role in developing community well-being. And with that, this so-called rural library and resource center will become community lifelong learning platform. And with that, rural library perform variety of tasks, right? For example, number one, rural library and small information resource center serve as a community hub center in creation and dissemination of culture. This is very important. Each community, pembangunan setiap community itu berdasarkan kepada keperluan kehidupan mereka seharian. Maka kita tidak boleh lari daripada kepentingan culture, pembudayaan dan keagamaan di dalam satu-satu community itu. Maka rural library is there to support this creation and dissemination of culture. We cannot put a standardized standard of all community. Kita tidak boleh samakan satu community itu sebagai sama. Community A, community B, community C, therefore semua sama. No. Every community are unique, and therefore the services that provided to them has to be unique by itself. All right. Secondly, rural library implement community development initiatives. So rural library and information center should become the center of community initiatives. And like I said before, the initiative must be based on the needs of the community. And with doing that, therefore, the rural library will be successful in assisting local residents through cooperation by providing them a learning environment platform that is solid and very based. Now, rural library, as we say, when we talk about library, when we talk about information center, now the main service provided by this institution to the community is information, of course. But it has to be beyond just borrowing books, right? It has to become the center of social hub. It has to become the center of integration between community. Doesn't matter whether we are talking about minority community or the dominant community. It is a symbol of local identity and culture. And rural library will definitely help user to improve their social and economic well-being. Like for example, macam saya berikan contoh tadi ya, di community, di perpustakaan desa Kampung Yan di Merbuk. Okay, now community Yan amat supportive dalam membentuk satu program yang mana membantu di antara satu sama lain, which is beyond what the state and the federal government provide to them. State and local government provide them with a library, all right, with a standard collection of books, but it is the initiative of the librarian and the center itself to create programs and activities that help community to engage with each other and to support with each other. So this is what rural library should be about. All right. Now, however, nowadays, the challenge with rural library and small resource center is that it is decreasing, right? Dengan adanya isu budget, dengan adanya isu underutilized, you know, and sometimes tu perpustakaan desa ini lebih terfokus kepada penggunaan kanak-kanak sahaja. With that kind of mentality, now kita dapati banyak isu-isu penutupan perpustakaan desa berlaku. Right, for example, in United States, right, rural library are being underutilized. It is reported to be underfunded and understaffed. And therefore, for the past 5 years, all over the world, 348 libraries have been closed down. And we don't want that to happen in Asian countries, because we do know that in Asia, we have one of the largest number of rural community in our country. It doesn't matter whether we are talking about Indonesia or Malaysia, but we, Asian countries, have one of the largest community rural, and these rural community members are not some somehow to be put aside. They need to be the central focal of any form of development, because when rural community develop, therefore the country, the nation itself will be supported in the development. Now, therefore, today, what I'm proposing, right, through my research study is that a framework on how to develop a public library, all right, a rural public library development framework to support. Therefore, the library can become the central focal point for community development, right? So untuk itu, this framework proposed 4 steps, all right? So there's 4 steps come up with the 4 different strategies, all right? Okay, prinsipal pertamanya ialah strategi untuk mana-mana perpustakaan desa, small rural library or disadvantaged library, community library or information center. First and foremost, the first principle is that these centers need to work with people who have relevant cultural knowledge. You cannot put someone that is outside of the community to actually organize activities for this community. You have to seek information of the policies from the national library, from the state library, consult local staff library, and then engage with local association. So this is principle 1. No rural library or rural resource center should run on their own. It needs to communicate with the local community. They need to approach members of the community so that they can understand the reach of the culture that is embedded between the community, all right? And then secondly, the rural library or rural resource center need to reach out to the community by identifying the local community interests, needs, and what are the markets that is surrounding the community. Now, this will help them to create strategy in terms of partnership, all right? And thirdly, engaging principle, strategies, and standards. Funding, you have to have a sufficient funding, not just from the local government. It can help, it can come from the local entrepreneurs, it can come from local institution, or maybe association, all right? And collection development must focus on the local relevance. Mix of verbal and non-verbal should be the focus of service provided by the rural library to the community. And the numbers of staff members need to be increased together with the skill of the staff members. And finally, the 4th principle is to contribute to local community development. Any form of activities or any form of services develop or dibangunkan atau diwujudkan di dalam sebuah perpustakaan desa perlu fokus kepada 4 elemen ini. Pertama, participation. Kedua, self-help. Ketiga, decision making. Dan keempat, leadership. All activities, all information, all programs provided to this small community should support at least one of these elements. You cannot be given them only books hoping that they read. It's not going to happen. You need to have engagement programs to allow them to know that reading doesn't limit it to only books. When I was in Australia, all right, I went to this community, rural community library, and apparently kids are allowed to go to the library to read comics. Alright, kita kat Malaysia, kalau baca komik itu macam satu kesalahan, betul tak?
Yeah.
Kenapa komik? Tetapi I realized that after being explained by the librarian is that comics help them to build their grammar, will help them to build their language, terminologies, you know. So dia punya vocabularies dia akan bertambah. So these are the elements that should be input into rural library. It's not just academic books. It has to be beyond that, right? And at the end of the day, Prof, libraries in rural area is here to stay. You cannot say no to this library. You cannot say no to rural library. You cannot say no to small library and resource center. They are here to stay. But we need to put some extra effort to make sure that it is sustained in the community and that it will support the community as well. So this is the challenges of the small rural libraries in terms of providing an environment with an atmosphere that is supports the fulfillment of information related needs, education, business, recreational, and of course, lifelong learning effort. So this is what I'm proposing dalam kita punya framework ini. Maka kaedah yang samalah yang boleh kita apply di dalam community kecil sebegini. So with that, I end my presentation lah, Prof. Back to you.
Yeah, okay, very interesting. Yes. Dulu cerita tadi komik, anak saya pun selalu beli komik oleh ibunya, diambil, disimpan dekat mana, tempat tak boleh. Tapi can you imagine, dia lah karena itu dia kemudian dapat PhD scholarship from UTM by MGIIT with the Waseda University, because it's very interesting, the comic Detective Conan, right?
You know, Prof, you should be asking Datuk Mansur how the Aceh community teach their kids to berniaga.
Yeah, we
There's
will.
no textbook for that.
Yeah, betul. We will listen from Datuk after question answer, and just now we will to look the song of video by Nabila will be to get.
First set of questions is addressed to Datuk Mansur, and it's coming from Nasir. He wants to ask that komunitas pedagang Aceh di Malaysia selalu dengan gigih dan mampu bersaing dengan wirausaha keturunan Tionghoa ataupun India. Apa sebenarnya pendorong motivasi komunitas Aceh dalam berwirausaha dan berbagi dalam kemalangan? And then questions number 2 for Datuk Mansur. Beramai-ramai kiranya Aceh community di Malaysia, apa saja program yang paling
in email dia tanya berapa ramai, itu bahasa Malaysia lah, berapa banyak kalau bahasa Indonesia, berapa ramai.
I see. Berapa ramai kiranya Aceh community di Malaysia, apa saja program yang paling dominan dalam kolaborasi antar pelaku usaha di Kuala Lumpur, Selangor atau negara lain. So,
negara lain itu dalam negeri lain. Kalau Malaysia negeri itu provinsi lain maksudnya.
Right.
Okay.
But that was the 2 questions for Mr. Datuk Mansur.
Prof. Lia, you can to remind Prof. Lia first, Nabila. Prof. Lia is available to listen to the question.
Yes, Prof. Dr. Lia, are you still with us? As we are going to read to you the questions from the floor.
Prof. Lia, ada any question for you, Prof. Lia, from Linda by email. Nabila will be to read to you, Prof.
Yes, so we have started a few questions for you, Prof. Linda, and this one is coming from a participant named Linda. The number 1 question is, Prof, she said your presentation is interesting, but now in Indonesia, many of millennial demography or young citizens, this is a very potential human capital future. But what are your recommendations for our government to develop them, for the development to them? And then question number 2 now, regarding you personally as a Sundanese people, what are local wisdom maybe of Sunda culture that's very interesting to guide maybe young generation to become as wisdom young leader to the future. Maybe as from a Sundanese culture. I think those are very interesting questions, and that's all from that's all for Prof. Dr. Lia. Now we are moving to set of questions for Asafrov or Rosie Abu. Miss, this is coming from Erlita. She wants to know, Miss, this is the number one question. Your subject issue of library for community is a very unique and interesting. Because one of standard of the SDGs regarding the performance citizens are available access of knowledge. How the Malaysian government policy to develop rural citizens regarding the village library and the civil society activities. And then question number 2, still for Prof. Dr. Rosie Abu. What are the important experience experience of rural library in Aceh community in Yan Merbok as model available copies to another village or another place in Malaysia and Aceh region too. Yep, so that's a wrap for all the questions so far for all of our speakers today. We are going to straight to give the floor, maybe start from the Mansur to answer the question that's given for him.
Oke, Datuk Mansur, pertanyaan dari Nasir tadi by email, jadi boleh dijawab 2 pertanyaan. Kalau kurang jelas boleh dibaca balik oleh Nabila Hazar. Sila Datuk Mansur.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam.
Alhamdulillah, satu kekuatan pedagang Aceh yang ada di Malaysia memang sangat teruja. Kita yang pertama sekali kekompakan di kalangan pedagang Aceh itu sendiri. Itu tonggak utama itu. Jadi kalau kita kompak, Waima dia setiap perantau ni saya pikir bukan hanya suku bangsa Aceh saja. Mana-mana suku bangsa pun mungkin kalau di kampung sendiri persepsi hidup mereka lain. Tapi kalau mereka sudah keluar, itu sudah pasti. Mereka melihat sinergi ke depan. Persaingan mereka siapa? Kalau di kampung, persaingan kita adik-beradik. Istilahnya, pepatah orang tua itu kalau mandi di kampung itu mandi kolam yang kecil. Tapi kalau kita sudah mandi di laut yang besar, itu udah beda persepsi dia.
Betul.
Dan alhamdulillah, kenapa dibilang tadi orang Aceh mampu bersaing dengan bangsa non-Muslim? Dari situ kita melihat kekuatan ataupun kearifan orang Aceh itu sendiri. Kalau di Medan Aceh kongsi. Kalau di Jakarta mungkin Prof lebih tahu lagi apa semua sekali. Jadi kalau di Malaysia ini, yes betul. Kalau di Malaysia komunitas Aceh ataupun pedagang Aceh. Makanya tak salah kalau rakyat Malaysia menyebut setiap kedai yang dimiliki oleh orang Aceh bukan disebutnya adalah perusahaannya, tapi disebutnya adalah wahai anak, kau ke kedai Aceh untuk beli ini. Seumpama juga dengan seorang ibu yang datang ke hypermarket, seumpama dengan Giant Tesco. Dia sudah tahu apa yang mau dibeli untuk perbelanjaan mingguan. Tapi kalau belanjaan harian, dia sudah pasti. Karena penguasaan kedai-kedai Aceh adalah ada di merata taman, perumahan. Waima dia sangat dekat dengan komunitas, dengan warga setempat di sini. Jadi di sini saya melihat kebetulan Prof pada permulaan pandemik 2019, alhamdulillah kita masyarakat Aceh boleh menyantuni 117.500 paket barang asas ataupun sembako yang kita agihkan selama 3,5 bulan, 100 hari. Di setiap negeri, di Semenanjung, malah Sabah Sarawak, kita buat pengantaran uang ke sana dengan senilai dia adalah Malaysia ringgit 5.875.000. Kalau dengan rupiah itu sudah miliaran itu.
Miliaran.
Tapi Waima dia semua sumbangan ini dilakukan oleh pedagang Aceh, pengusaha Aceh, ataupun individu. Jadi bukan kepada warga asing saja yang kita utamakan, tetapi kepada masyarakat setempat. Kita tak melihat Cina, India, Melayu karena kondisi pandemik yang mereka terputus daripada pekerjaan. Sehingga kita masyarakat Aceh tahap peduli sebagaimana yang saya beritahu tadi. Kalau kerajaan telah membantu Aceh di Aceh ataupun warga Aceh di sini, kenapa tidak? Sebagaimana kata pepatah Abu Hamka lah, di mana tanah dipijak, di situ langit dijunjung. Ini sinonim ini memang diambil berat oleh komunitas Aceh, oleh pekerja Aceh, sehingga yang membawa nama harum di kalangan masyarakat Aceh yang ada di perantauan. Khususnya di Malaysia lah. Kalau di Medan, di Jakarta mungkin Prof lebih mengenali karena saya sudah 36 tahun di sini. Terkait dengan sebagaimana Prof Rahayu tadi sebut tentang komunitas Aceh Yan Kedah. Sangat tertarik.
Prof Rozia.
Prof Rozia Abu ya. Jadi saya tertarik karena saya telah beberapa kali ke Yan Kedah melihat sendiri kondisi kampung Yan Kedah itu sendiri. Mungkin tahun 95 ketika itu masa ada 5 Langkawi. Saya pernah singgah di kampung Yan Kedah. Cuman hari ini di kampung Yan Kedah tinggal beberapa lagi orang tua-tua. Yang orang muda barangkali mereka sudah ke bandar besar, seumpama Kuala Lumpur, Johor Bahru, ataupun berbagai-bagai apa semua sekali. Dalam hal ini, hikmah apa yang berlaku baru-baru ini, bencana alam, membawa kesadaran kepada warga Aceh perantau ketika mereka mengantar bantuan kepada kampung Yan Aceh. Disitulah, pada dulunya, kami warga Aceh hanya terlepas pandang Kampung Yan. Pergi mungkin 4 tahun, 5 tahun sekali. Tapi hari ini, kami coba dekatkan hubungan ayahanda kami yang ada di Yan Kedah. Beberapa tokoh yang ada hari ini, kalau tokoh-tokoh ulama besar memang sangat populariti lah yang dilahirkan di Yan Kedah itu. Kalau kita melihat sejarah apa yang ada di Lebri di camp itu, saya sangat tertarik, teruja, makanya saya harus turun kembali dan coba saya dekatkan hubungan masyarakat Aceh yang ada di Semenanjung dengan masyarakat Aceh, khususnya warga tempatan Yan Kedah atau Aceh Yan Kedah dapat menyatu. Alhamdulillah, bulan hadapan tepat pada tarikh 6 hari bulan 11 ataupun sama dengan 7 hari bulan kita buat 2 hari. Majelis Maulid Rasul yang akan kita laksanakan di Kampung Yan Aceh, dan kita telah sepakat di kalangan warga Aceh di Semenanjung akan turun lebih kurang 1.200 orang. Karena selama ini pandemik, mereka tidak kemana-mana. Kalau dulu mereka ke Langkawi, mereka ke sini, mereka ke situ. Tapi dengan ada program yang kita akan susuli, kita akan turun ke Kampung Yan Kedah, mereka cemburu di apa yang telah kami lakukan beberapa bulan yang kebelakang. Masa pengantaran bantuan 3 kali berturut-turut. Senilai 250.000. Itu bukan nilai dia, tapi Waima yang turun tuh hampir 300 kendaraan bersama keluarga. Jadi ke depan ini, insya Allah kita upayakan yang mana tidak punya kendaraan, kita akan buat persediaan bus. Beberapa bus di lokasi negeri-negeri tertentu. Yang tujuannya harus sampai ke matlamat, yaitu kepada tempat majelis Maulid Rasul. Dan sangat dialu-alukan oleh orang tua kami yang ada di Yan Kedah, insya-Allah. Itulah menjadi harapan supaya orang tua kami yang ada berapa orang lagi di Yan Kedah sebagai panutan kami. Wa ima dia kami ini anak yatim piatu. Tidak ada ayah, tidak ada ibu. Semua ayah itu di kampung halaman. Jadi ayah kita adalah apa yang ada di Yan Kedah hari ini. Jadi Prof Rozia tadi beritahu tentang kekuatan orang Aceh, tentang semangat orang Aceh. Saya boleh katakan di sini kejujuran orang Aceh pada penilaian saya melebihi 90%. Yang kedua, semangat. Awal pagi sampai ke larut malam. Saya pikir wajar kalau mereka sebut kita ini Cina hitam, Prof. Minta maaf, Prof.
Iya. Saya agak putih sedikit nampaknya ya. Oke.
Kalau Cina putih, dia ada batas kerjanya, hari Minggu udah cuti. Buka kedai pukul 7 pagi, tutupnya pukul 5 petang. Cina hitam nih, kalau dibenarkan 24 jam itu nggak tutup-tutup kedai itu. Jadi yang kita nak bilang, yang kita nak sebut di situ itulah kekompakan yang ada pada orang Aceh. Disebabkan faktor di tempat kita yang sedikit susah untuk mendapatkan peluang-peluang pekerjaan, sebagaimana yang kita melihat di Malaysia. Bukan hanya suku Indonesia ataupun bangsa Indonesia yang datang ke sini, tapi saya ingat rata penjuru dunia. Kenapa mereka harus ke Malaysia? Inilah Malaysia bumi bertuah. Bumi bertuah, sangat bertuah, menjadi surga kepada mereka untuk mencari rezeki di sini dan juga menjadi tempat transit pedagang luar negeri. Jadi alhamdulillah di sini, Prof, saya nak tambah sedikit, selain pada Permebam tadi, alhamdulillah komuniti Aceh telah diamanahkan oleh orang-orang tua kami, penasihat kami di sini, dengan adanya warga Aceh yang ramai, pedagang-pedagang yang ramai, dan kita telah lahirkan sebuah koperasi yang namanya Koperasi Masa Kuala Lumpur Berhad. Di sini kita coba kolaborasikan di antara pedagang-pedagang tersebut bersama dengan koperasi. Karena kita melihat hari ini, Prof, persaingan tuh sangat mencabar hari ini. Jadi kita membina satu kekuatan yang utuh, yang padu, yang mendapat kepercayaan oleh pemerintah itu sendiri. Jadi kita orang Aceh nggak bisa, maaf Prof, Dr. Lia, orang Aceh dah nggak bisa sendiri-sendiri lagi. Bila di luar negeri kita harus saling menyatu, harus selalu kompak. Jadi mungkin Prof Lia nggak melihat orang Aceh, gimana kekuatan orang Aceh yang ada di Malaysia. Kalau Prof Rozia, dia mungkin saban masa melihat keberadaan orang Aceh. Apalagi sejarah tadi disebut pernah memang orang Yan. Oh itu satu. Saya dah nggak bisa mengutarakan lagi sebab dah nanti takut terkena.
Iya. Oke.
Aduh, jadi alhamdulillah pada saya sangat berbangga lah apabila kita melihat tokoh-tokoh Aceh yang ternama di Malaysia sangat ramai sebenarnya, sangat-sangat ramai. Tan Sri Hanafiah. Kalau kita sebut itu memang di Prof yang lebih mengerti. Cuma kita menumpang nama harum beliau. Jadi kebanggaan kepada orang Aceh. Perantau melihat tokoh-tokoh lama, tokoh-tokoh nasional tuh masih melihat kami ataupun memberi satu upaya yang kita nih masyarakat perantau ini sama juga fungsinya, kesempatan yang ada untuk membangun ekonomi orang Islam khususnya di Nusantara ini. Jadi pada saya sangat terima kasih dapat berucap pada hari ini. Teman saya nih Serap Hamid Nasir juga banyak memberi suntikan semangat kepada kami. Beliau juga berpengalaman luas dengan almarhum Tan Sri Samsudin. Saya melihat sifu saya ataupun orang tua saya lah, almarhum Tan Sri itulah yang banyak mengajar saya sebenarnya. Saya sering dimarahi oleh beliau dalam tujuan yang baik. Jadi hari ini saya sedar karena saya kehilangan ayahanda saya, selain ayahanda saya yang ada di kampung dan ayahanda yang ada di sini. Yang namun semangat yang sebagaimana yang telah dicurahkan kepada saya akan siap berbakti untuk nusa dan bangsa, insya Allah.
Baik. Terima kasih. Datuk Mansur, very interesting answer. Ini Prof. Rodia kena jemput nanti masa bawa bantuan yang akan besar bahasa hadapan, right? Supaya boleh dia ambil terus sebagai dokumen research.
InsyaAllah.
Boleh dijemput terus. Ini masa ada 2 minit lagi untuk Datuk Mansur. Saya bagi untuk Encik Fahmi. Beliau ini dulu adalah PA pada Tan Sri Sanusi sebab tadi disebut-sebut namanya. Jadi mungkin Encik Fahmi boleh menggunakan 2-3 minit untuk what your opinion, because after you Prof Lia will be to answer the question. Nanti daripada Tengku Umar akan saya bagi masa selepas speaker menjawab pertanyaan. Encik Fahmi, please your comment. Right. Macam sekarang sudah gondrong ya, kayak Black Brother. Okay.
Assalamualaikum, Tengku Syarul. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be able to join the conference for today. Prof. Tengku Syarul, Prof. Lia, Prof. Rozia, Datuk Mansur. The topic of community development is very interesting as always, right? Talking about the Acehnese community, here in Malaysia, maybe there are 2 interesting things that not have been explored before. Number 1 is, what are the role of Acehnese in Malaysian national building? Yes, we know there are a lot of Acehnese leaders like Sanusi bin Junid, Hanafiah Hussein, Kamrul Zaman Asharif, and Elias Omar, and so on and so forth. But what are the real contribution of Acehnese community? I think this will be interesting subject to study. Number 1. Number 2, after tsunami, or even before tsunami, there are many students from Aceh who came to Malaysia to study here, and now they are going back to Aceh and become a leader, a prominent person in Indonesia. So there's also not a single study to explore or to elaborate what are the contributions of these students toward the Indonesia and toward Aceh itself. So maybe Prof. Rozia can conduct and Tengku Syarul can elaborate on this more.
Right.
And then talking about the Acehnese community here in Malaysia, basically, yes, I agree with what Datuk Mansur has been explaining to us, that what make us successful here. Number 1, of course, because we are, in a foreign countries. So anybody in foreign countries, of course, we will work hard to succeed. That's number 1. But the most important thing is the Acehnese is very, very independent. If you see why up until now, it's only the last 2 years we start talking about collaboration. We start talking about a cooperative. But before that, every single of them working by themselves. Working maybe with, of course, they collaborate, but in small scale. But only now they are interested to collaborate in a bigger scale. So this is also another point that maybe we can study and digest further. Why is it so? Why the Acehnese here is, it seems that they are so good and so powerful, but if you go deeper, you know that all of them are very independent. There is no single company which is owned by Acehnese here in Malaysia. I mean, what are the big company that we own here? There is none. But if we go deeper now into the retail industry, yes, we have thousands of Kelai Runcit, but now look at what happened in the other players, 99, and Segi Fresh Market. In the future, if the Acehnese are not what we call trying to catch up with the development, maybe Kedai Aceh is only become history now. So this is also another point that I would like to highlight. But of course, please, Prof. Syarul, allow me for 1 more minute to say that.
Oh, please, because I will to invite you cast is one even two, right?
Okay, I forgot to mention that I am a student of Wakaf because I'm conducting research on Wakaf development in Aceh in Malaysia. So
Right.
I can see that one of the salient features why we here succeed because we have the spirit of Wakaf. If you go all
Yeah.
over Malaysia, even in Kedah, we have a lot of Wakaf asset.
Yeah.
Even in Penang, we have Masjid Melayu Lebuh Aceh. It was
Yep.
donated in 1808, which is earlier than Wakaf Baitul Ashi.
Yep.
And we have
There's plenty of madrasah in the Aceh community.
yes.
Also.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So this is also another point why we here succeed because we have the spirit of Wakaf. We in our culture, we have the spirit of giving back to the community. So when we have something to give, so we give it to the community. That's why you and another point is Wakaf Aceh is not from the individual, but is based on crowdfunding. You see, in Bahasa Aceh we call that meripe. Now they call it crowdfunding. Like if you go to Mecca, you find Baitul Ashi. It is not from single person, but it's from many Acehnese. Before they are going back to Aceh, they donate whatever they have, money they have. So thank you very much for having me here. And I would like to congratulate the organizer and Prof. Rozia. Please, you can work together with our Pak Dr. Ishak Hassan in UTU because I believe that one of the deputy director is an alumni from UKM. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam Cik Fahmi. Thank you very much, Prof. You are the new friend for research collaboration ni with Encik Fahmi. He know more about Aceh because dia lama sebagai PA-nya Tan Sri Sanusi. Saya selalu jumpa dekat dia di Mongkiara, di mana-mana lah. But I think Fahmi is the graduate from University Antarabangsa jugalah. Kalau saya tak silap lah. Jadi Encik Fahmi, you can to share your WhatsApp number in chat box for Prof. Rozia will to note your bimbit lah supaya mudah communication, right? Prof. Lia will be to answer the two question by email of Nabila read for you. Dia bertanya mengenai Sundanese culture pula. Sekarang Prof. Lia, time for you to answer because before that the Acehnese culture and community and the Sundanese for because we talk about human capital, right, in the Indonesia and the ASEAN. Please, Prof.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam.
Actually, I am surprised for the question. Yeah, Indonesia have demography to a lot of people. It's number 4 in the world.
Prof, you can to because in my room just now is a very big rain. It is guntur kata orang Indonesia.
Ya,
kata
betul.
orang Aceh gereduk tu suaranya agak terganggu. Sila, Bro.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Clear, Prof, please.
Yeah, Indonesia have a lot of people. It's 4 number in the world.
Yeah.
And then the demography is variety from ethnic to many and many island. The human capital now is better for the future because the government have a policy for education growing up. Yes, you know, Prof. Reza, you know, Kampus Merdeka.
Yes, right.
Yeah, to make easy to lecturing and for the
of the program in campus and another place.
In another place. Jadi memudahkan juga ya untuk memperoleh pendidikan dari pendidikan dasar, menengah sampai pendidikan tinggi until higher education. And then the human capital to budget also. Government to growing up and more, much more the budget for that. And then actually now is a pandemic situation, so many business go down.
Yeah.
And then, but actually, small medium enterprises is better. Why? Because the natural resources is come from local content much more than import content. And to make dia hidup terus ya karena karena bahan bakunya dari lokal content, and then the technology is padat karya ya, not padat modal. Jadi
simple technology.
Ya, simple technology, and then make unemployment adopt menyerap tenaga kerja juga.
Yes, right.
Pengembangannya di dalam development tadi Prof Datuk Mansur mengatakan koperasi. My philosophy in our countries is koperasi. And then Soko Guru pasal 33 Undang-Undang Dasar 45. That's the right policy, the right for Indonesia ya. Sampai sekarang itu masih tetap dipakai. Kenapa? Karena di dalam koperasi itu gotong royong, kekeluargaan ya. Tidak mementingkan mencari untung, tapi juga bagaimana welfare the members gitu kan. Bagaimana keluarga bisa jadi sejahtera dari anggota koperasi itu. Nah, pengembangannya bekerja sama dengan dunia university. I have been experienced. I have head department of research and community service to give the training of small medium enterprises. And then to give the capital and the interest rate is low. Jadi di situ kita juga membagikan modal, and then we have a cooperative department, especially to serve the small medium enterprise. That's the community development. And then we have too many ethnics. Pak Datuk Mansur is come from Aceh, Prof Tengku from Aceh, and they have have specialties. The ethnic, the Padanese is business oriented. The Acehese is pada business. Actually to make and then more effective and efficiently for to arrange the business, to make welfare. And then sometimes membuat kita menjadi lebih makmur ya dibandingkan dengan bisnis yang lain. Kemudian juga memakai lokal konten dibandingkan dengan impor konten. Itu kan mahal kalau pakai impor. Pengembangannya dunia pendidikan, community development itu melalui berbagai training. Jadi saya pernah juga melakukan training ke small medium enterprises for marketing, for finance, for human resource. Sometimes the small medium enterprise long time ago cannot to absorb the scientific management like traditional management, and then to give them for the training. Itu community development yang dilakukan for economic and capital now. I think and then my president to make budgeting for infrastructure, to make it easy, for distribution from producer to consumers. And now is sudah merata ya, dari Aceh sampai ke Papua, you know. The infrastructure is better now. And then to make it easy
Yes,
for
to business,
distribution.
connecting business. Okay, right.
Yeah, okay.
The second for Sundanese person, what your local wisdom interesting to develop?
The Sundanese actually, the weather is comfortable to make creative industry. Jadi di situ karena emotional intelligence itu tertanam di situ, mereka lebih banyak industri kreatif di sana.
Therefore, more band from Indonesia, from Bandung ya, bro. The music band.
Iya.
Bandung.
Jadi seni itu dari Bandung itu banyak yang menghasilkan industri. Misalnya dari sepatu, yang sampai
industri musik juga yang terbanyak produksi Bandung.
Outlet, for a garment, But that's the specialties from the Sundanese because they have create the arts side.
Artpreneurs.
Right, itu yang terjadi di Sundanese, terutama ada young generation, and then make a marketplace also, yang memudahkan dengan memanfaatkan juga daripada teknologi, itulah spesialisasi.
Baik.
Jadi
terima kasih.
Industri kreatif. Saya kira cukup. Terima kasih.
Makasih Prof. Prof kan dari Jawa Barat, suaminya Sumatera Barat. Nah, bersama kita nanti ada Aceh Barat tuh. Itu ada University Tuku Umar tuh Aceh Barat. But before that, Prof. Rozia will be to answer the question from Nabila email, please. And my email too. Please, Prof. Rozia, to answer.
Okay, thanks, Prof. I think my question is a very straightforward question. The first one was from Erlita. It's about what are the Malaysian government efforts in terms of supporting rural library and community development. So at the moment, from the beginning of year 1970s, there's been a lot of policies in focusing on community development as a whole and focusing a lot on rural rural community. In fact, currently di Malaysia, perpustakaan awam negara sendiri kita ada lebih 340 buah perpustakaan. Dan di kalangan perpustakaan negara tersebut, kita ada perpustakaan negeri, dan di bawah perpustakaan negeri itu kita ada pecahan lebih 1099 perpustakaan desa. Jadi perpustakaan desa ini merupakan perpustakaan luar bandar lah, rural library. Yang mana fokus dia ialah membantu komuniti untuk mendapat maklumat yang diperlukan, di samping memberikan mereka perkhidmatan-perkhidmatan luar daripada skop pembacaan sahaja. Jadi termasuklah aktiviti-aktiviti penambahbaikan kendiri, that means self-development program and self-development services and activities. Yang itu in terms of menjawab soalan yang pertama. Soalan yang kedua, the importance of community Aceh in rural community Malaysia development. Okay. Yang ini maybe next year kita boleh present dia punya funding lepas kita buat research.
Ya, betul.
Masa dah setuju kita buat research.
Ya, itu sebab saya kena connectkan supaya ni boleh berlanjut.
Yeah. So insyaAllah we will focus on that. But I can tell you one thing for sure. Upon development of the policy of rural community development, arwah Tan Sri Sanusi was one of the individual who actually involved in the policy development. That is for sure, because waktu tersebut beliau adalah menteri bandar,
Yes, betul.
Maka he involved directly in terms of developing the policy of supporting community development, and one of the policies focuses on the importance of information center for community luar bandar. So that I can assure you is true. But what are the rules? I agree with Saudara Fahmi. We need to have a specific study on what are the role of the Achinese community contribution to Malaysia economy, social and community development. I think that would be something that we need to look forward to. You know?
Yeah, Prof.
So, Prof, that's all.
Yeah. Betul. Jadi, because Tan Sri is former Luar Bandar Ministry, dan for your information, Fahmi more know than me. Almarhum Tan Sri Sanusi mempunyai the library in his house is belasan ribu buku dalam library dekat rumah dia. Fahmi lebih hafal lagi. And Tan Sri Sanusi pernah membuat kafe dekat Bali. Kafenya ada library dalam kafenya. Dia sangat mencintai library itu. Tapi kita akan menjemput nanti khas kawan kita Encik Fahmi in the another event about specifically what his base. I hope Puan boleh join nanti pada masanya. Now, saya kena dengar sikit daripada Universiti Tengku Umar because Pak Ishak University IPTA dekat Aceh. Ini dia dekat Aceh. Tengku Umar itu nama pahlawan Aceh. Dulu IPTA-nya dibagi oleh Presiden SBY, ingat saya, masa sebelum bersyara lagi. Mungkin Pak Ishak boleh connect dengan Prof. Rozia, ada collaboration research ke antara UTU dengan UITM. Mungkin boleh dalam 5 minit you talk, Prof. Sila.
Oke. Thank you. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang waktu Malaysia ya, juga di Aceh bagian barat nih ya, West Aceh. Ya tentu yang saya hormati Datuk Mansur nih luar biasa ya.
Betul. Datuk Mansur luar biasa. Kalau saya biasa di luar.
Prof Rozia ya, Prof Lia dan juga Pak Fahmi ya. Terima kasih ya kesempatan yang diberikan. Saya sudah mengundang Datuk Mansur ya, datang ke Aceh Barat. Kita juga menerima beberapa perguruan tinggi Malaysia yang lalu sebelum pandemik seperti Universiti Malaysia Terengganu, dan UTM. Kemudian di UTM anak saya juga lagi belajar di UTM di Johor
ke di KL,
di kampus Skudai
Skudai
Johor. Belum bisa balik nih. Saya bilang sama Datuk Mansur, saya bagi tahu supaya cepat dibuka gate-nya KLIA 2.
Kemarin waktu Datuk Mansur makan tengah hari dengan PM dah dibagi tahu, dah boleh buka pun sekarang.
Udah buka, udah bisa pergi melancong-lancong, pergi ngantar anak ya.
Yes, right.
Oke, terima kasih baik. Saya ingin ke Datuk Mansur dulu satu pertanyaan. Datuk Mansur sudah berkhidmat banyak tuh tentang koperasi di Malaysia. Kita juga mau mengkoneksi produk-produk usaha-usaha kecil mikro ya, small business yang ada di Aceh. Itu banyak sekali yang mungkin bisa juga dipasarkan ya kan, produk-produk lokal kita di koperasi-koperasi tadi itu Komasa yang di bawah Datuk Mansur. Saya kira ini juga bisa memperluas ya kan perniagaan antar negara ya. Kemudian juga bisa mengajari koperasi-koperasi yang ada di Aceh, pengalaman di Kuala Lumpur ya, itu satu ya. Datuk Mansur luar biasa. Nanti kita undang ke sini nih kalau sudah tidak pandemik lagi ya. Kemudian Prof. Rozia, saya di UTU ini bisa PTN, Perguruan Tinggi Negeri yang masih baru di Indonesia. Itu zaman SBY dari Prof. Syahrul sudah kasih tahu, bagi tahu ya. Sekarang di rektornya Profesor Jasman J. Ma'ruf, alumni University Sains Malaysia ya. Kalau magisternya dulu beliau di UKM ya, tadi yang sampaikan Pak Fahmi. Saya alumni Universiti Pajajaran, tapi pernah sebagai dulu postdoktoral di Universiti Utara Malaysia di Institut Pemikiran Mahathir ya. Institut Pemikiran Mahathir.
IPDM, Dr. Zaha.
Ya.
Suaminya Prof. Rozia itu rektornya.
Ya. Jadi ada Institut Pemikiran Mahathir, saya belajar jejak-jejak pemikiran Mahathir. Dulu Look East ya, itu sangat bagus ya pemikiran Mahathir. Lihat ke timur gitu ya.
Yes, right. Look East.
Sangat bagus. Sangat Look East ya. Kemudian untuk Prof. Rozia, kita lagi bangun Hall of Fame Teguh Umar, ya, Hall of Fame Teguh Umar. Mungkin perlu juga membantu kita ini tentang referensi Cunyadin, istrinya Teguh Umar, ya. Itu dari negeri Belanda. Ya,
ini masanya kita sudah terhad, mungkin 2 poin itu dulu ya, nanti boleh
boleh,
sambung lagi.
Nanti kami undang ya Pro Rozia untuk datang ke Aceh ya. Oke, terima kasih ya, sangat berbahagia
nanti
bisa
masa Prof Rozia datang bagi gelar Cuk Nyadin terus ya.
Ya, nanti kita buat prosesinya ya. Masih, assalamualaikum, selamat siang.
Jadi begini Datuk Mansur, oleh karena pertanyaan ini khas mengenai Acehnese, because this event not about Acehnese only but the community of the all, therefore Datuk Mansur nanti boleh menjawabkan direct saja dengan Tengku Ishak Hasan. Kalau enggak nanti Prof Lia Inyo kau Aceh Mendung.
Aceh Mendung ya.
Okey, jadi nanti dia pening apa nih. Okey, paling tidak pertanyaan itu sudah didengar oleh kita dan Datuk Mansur nanti boleh menjawabnya direct to Bapak Ishak Hasan. But about Prof Rozia, boleh bagi terus your email in chat box kepada Pak Ishak. Pak Ishak, boleh bagi number pimpin dekat chat box ni supaya boleh dicatat oleh Prof Rozia ya. Karena masa kita sudah tinggal 5 minit, kebab sudah azan pula di sini. Mungkin akan ada closing remark masing-masing, memang 2-3 minit dari the speaker. But before that, Kang Indah will be to share the last video ya, Nabila, for the refreshing first before the closing remark every speaker. Sebelum masing-masing pembicara menyampaikan kata penutup, ada sebuah lagu terakhir supaya refreshing kejap daripada Kang Indah. Kang Indah, what you want to show